You have a purpose.
Far out at sea, two men stood on a boat as a heavy chain dragged an old stone coffin out of the water and dropped it onto the deck. They rushed to it and removed the chain surrounding it. A woman walked towards it, nervous about what they might discover. They broke it open, and to their shock, a woman inside came gasping back to life. Later, another woman, Niall, sped across the waves in a motorboat while her companions, Andy, Joe, James, and Nikki, moved through a dense forest, keeping low to avoid being noticed. Through her binoculars, Niall spotted a shipment of weapons being moved and warned the team. Joe reminded them that Conrad was always careful with technology and predicted they would lose contact once inside, which made Niall complain about never getting rest. Andy teased her for being a typical millennial.
You're such a millennial, Niall.
Hey, it's a fair question.
Alan then sent Joe and Nikki toward a hedge maze, which Nikki found strangely fascinating. Andy muttered it wouldn't be like a mission from decades ago, which left Niall puzzled until Nikki mentioned that Booker once lost his head in a maze and they never found it.
We couldn't find it in the maze.
And he couldn't help for obvious reasons.
Niall asked if they think Booker is okay, but the silence from the others made it clear they didn't want to revisit that memory. Andy's demeanor also changes. Andy broke the tension by urging everyone to move.
Let's do this, guys.
Soon, she and James crept up behind a guard, knocked him down, and stole his weapon. At the same time, Joe and Nikki attacked two men near the maze. During the scuffle, Joe's opponent slashed off his thumb with a knife, but after killing the man, Joe calmly pressed the severed finger back in place until it fused again. Nixie laughed, looking at his friend attaching his finger.
All right, guys. You know what to do.
The group then stormed toward the main house, firing as they advanced. Joe and Nikki jumped into a car and sped off as gunmen poured out to chase them, turning it into a wild pursuit. Meanwhile, Andy and James slipped inside the mansion, where they exchanged fire with guards. Andy grabbed a sword, cut one enemy down, and smashed another through a glass table after leaping from behind a curtain. Out by the road, Joe and Nikki were still racing at full speed, laughing even as Nikki urged caution until they suddenly spun the car around to head straight back. At the same time, Niall reached the house by boat, shot a man by the water, and then picked off another on the balcony. As she climbed up, she was shot in the neck, but the wound sealed itself within seconds. She retaliated, killed the shooter, then launched herself off the building and caught a flagpole mid-fall to break her landing. Inside the mansion, Andy and James fought against a larger group, but still managed to gain the upper hand. Niall burst in through a window and shot down the men who were attacking them. Meanwhile, during the car chase, Nikki climbed onto Joe's vehicle, sent the one he had been riding in straight toward their enemies, and clung to the outside of Joe's car as his legs scraped painfully against the road. He pulled himself inside just before another vehicle blocked their path, causing them to crash and plunge into the ocean. Back in the house, Andy, Niall, and James pushed deeper through the halls, gunning down guards until they finally killed Conrad. They secured a spear and calmly walked out, with James explaining that his CIA contact would arrive in minutes to collect the weapons.
He'll make sure the weapons are collected.
Okay, start walking.
Later that night, the team regrouped in a cabin. Niall and Andy played a game, and Niall came out on top.
Thank you.
Andy teased that the worst part of being human was the hangover, which made the others laugh. James left to take a phone call while Nikki and Joe turned in for the night.
Good night.
In the quiet that followed, Andy praised Niall's efforts, and Niall reminded her that she had driven a boat right into the villa. They shared a laugh, though Niall noticed something heavy behind Andy's smile. When she asked if everything was truly fine, Andy replied that she had found peace.
Didn't look that peaceful when you were throwing that guy out the window.
It wasn't supposed to be.
James returned soon after, reporting that Conrad had only been a middleman, not the real buyer, and that the true clients left no trail except for blurry surveillance images. Niall recognized one of the women, recalling that she had seen her in a dream of an old library, where the woman killed a man and carried away the books.
I can't see his face, but the books.
And then what?
And then I wake up.
James dismissed the evidence as too weak, but promised to keep her updated before stepping outside.
I'll figure it out.
The following day, Booker entered a house with a gun, only to be greeted by a woman named Quinn, who seemed thrilled to meet him.
I've been waiting for a very long time.
Shortly after, Booker is loaded into a car with a bag over his head. Elsewhere, the rest of the group separated after their mission. Andy left with James, Niall paired with Nikki, and Joe walked away by himself.
Don't worry, okay? Enjoy yourself.
Niall, curious about Joe's mood, asked Nikki what was wrong. Nikki replied that Joe claimed he wanted to be alone, though he doubted the excuse, saying he knew Joe too well after centuries together. When Joe drove off, Nikki followed, climbing into a car with Niall as they trailed him into the distance.
Come on.
In a remote place, Quinn pressed Booker for Andy's whereabouts. Booker insisted he was in exile, and she revealed she had tracked him easily after spotting him drunk in Paris. She ordered her companion to fetch him clean clothes. Alone for a moment, she demanded to know if Andy had ever spoken of her. Booker admitted she often had, but Quinn grew bitter, saying she had spent centuries trying to free Andy, only to learn Andy had already been free for half a millennium.
She was living in her own kind of hell.
While Niall and Nikki trailed Joe, they discovered him carrying food into Booker's house. Joe admitted he was haunted by the memory of abandoning Booker in the past, saying guilt had driven him back. Nikki reminded him that Booker had once betrayed them by shooting Andy, a wound that still cut deep.
He made his choice, Joe. But he shot Andy and betrayed all of us.
As they spoke, Niall returned from searching the place. She reported that the house was empty and that blood stained one of the walls. When asked when he had last spoken to Booker, Joe admitted it had been a week.
He was fine. I don't...
You gotta tell Andy, but it keeps going to voicemail.
Elsewhere, Andy and James visited another contact. Andy went in first and was greeted by an old man named Toi, who recognized her as Andy. They shared a drink together, and Toi noticed the necklace she wore, realizing it belonged to Quinn.
You're still wearing Quinn's necklace.
Andy then asked if he knew Niall or the mysterious woman she had been dreaming of. Tua suggested they look in the library, where he showed them shelves of old volumes, one compartment now standing bare. He explained that the missing book had been stolen, proof that Niall's visions were not mere dreams.
The woman Niall's been dreaming about.
When pressed about the woman, Tua revealed she was the first immortal, known as Discord. James argued that Andy herself was the first, but Tua shook his head and began recounting the past. He described the time Andy and Quinn were captured, when Quinn was locked into a coffin to be cast into the sea, and how Discord's fury had been sparked by the cruel treatment of immortals.
Such evil cannot be unseen.
On that same day, Tua had helped Andy escape. Andy wanted to know what Discord was after, but Tua admitted he did not know. He only warned that they were in grave danger, and when Andy revealed she had lost her immortality 6 months earlier, Tua was stunned.
How long has it been?
Around 6 months.
Trauma key.
After this, Andy told him to pack his bag, but Tua already knows. Back at their hideout, Niall told the group something had happened to Booker. Andy demanded to know if anyone had kept contact, and Nikki revealed Joe had been speaking to him.
Yusuf went to see him. They've been talking the entire time.
The mention of blood at Booker's home convinced Tua that Discord was involved. Soon after, Booker called Joe asking to meet.
Oui, attends, où exactement? D'accord, t'inquiète pas, t'inquiète pas.
Joe and Nikki went to fetch him, and when they brought him back, Booker revealed the truth. Quinn had returned.
Quinn. She couldn't find you, so she found me.
He handed Andy a letter from her, where she confessed the world outside was darker than the tomb she had been imprisoned in. She was hurt that Andy had kept moving on without her, and asked to meet.
I have returned to a world darker than the tomb. Find me where you always could.
Despite Niall's protests and reminders that Andy could now die, Andy refused to stay behind. At last, she let Niall join her and drove off to face Quinn. Meanwhile, tension brewed in the cabin. Nikki doubted Booker's loyalty, and the others knew they could not be certain of his intentions.
I guess you don't.
At a roadside motel, Andy wrestled with visions of herself attempting to kill a man, only to be confronted by an image of Quinn telling her this was not who she truly was.
This is not who you are.
Niall interrupted the memory and snapped her back to reality. Andy admitted she had changed so much that Quinn might not even recognize her, and perhaps Quinn herself had changed as well.
Andy, I've never seen you like this.
The following day, they reached the meeting point. Andy walked forward with Niall close behind until she finally came face to face with Quinn. The two women stared at one another, and Andy confessed she could never put into words how deeply she regretted abandoning her.
There are no words to explain how I failed you.
Quinn broke down in tears, describing the torment of being locked away in a tomb for centuries, consumed by thoughts of Andy. Andy pleaded for forgiveness and asked when she had been freed. When Quinn revealed it had been months, she lashed out, accusing Andy of failing to find her in such a vast but singular ocean. Andy admitted she had searched but knew her efforts had not been enough.
I searched for centuries.
But you stopped.
They sat together for a while, and Andy urged her to return, insisting she still had her and the others to fight beside her. But Quinn, hardened by hatred toward humanity, rejected the idea, making it clear she no longer shared Andy's purpose.
Fight for mortals? The ones who drown me in a coffin at the bottom of the sea?
She turned away in anger, leaving Andy to follow through streets until Quinn finally struck her. The two women fought fiercely, their strength evenly matched, until Quinn threw Andy's side and declared she was no longer the same person who had once worn the necklace she now carried. Niall arrived in time to break them apart, warning that discord had appeared. The mysterious figure passed silently, and Andy suddenly realized Quinn and discord were aligned.
How do you know that, Niall? Discord. You're with discord.
The clash resumed briefly before Quinn seized the necklace, cursed Andy, and fled. Andy followed, but she couldn't find her. Meanwhile, Niall chases after discord into a church.
Hiding in a church?
Discord told Niall she had not expected to meet her so soon, and questioned how someone who still clung to her faith could fight with Andy's group. She accused them of playing gods and asked whether abandoning her family had been worth it. Then she revealed something more disturbing. Niall was the last immortal that would ever be born, connected to her through a shared mark, because Discord had been the first.
You and I are going to end immortal interference together.
With that, she walked away. Later, back at their safe house, Niall couldn't shake those words and wondered what they meant. The others were equally unsettled by Quinn's actions.
So, what do we do about Quinn?
Andy withdrew to her room, haunted by memories of the bond she once shared with Quinn, including the moment she gave her the necklace. At the same time, Booker sought out Tua. When Tua asked if Niall had ever harmed Andy, Booker admitted she had stabbed her during their first meeting. Tua then spoke of an old legend. The final immortal had the power to strip immortality from others, and Discord might intend to use Niall to destroy them.
He's going to use Niall to try to kill all of us.
The story also claimed that an injured immortal could willingly pass the gift to another before losing it, meaning Andy could regain her power if someone else accepted mortality.
But again, it's just a theory.
Later, Booker visited Andy and confessed he planned to leave after the conflict was over. Andy told him they needed him and regretted abandoning him, but Booker thinks that they did what they had to do and they made the right choice.
You did what you had to do. I deserve it.
He admitted he never expected to see her again. They talked about Kyunch and how everything is hurting Andy. He believed Quinn's actions came from pain rather than cruelty. After talking for a while, Booker urged Andy to rest.
It's not over yet. We always make it through.
Somewhere else, Discord and Quinn sat together. Discord apologized for Andy's betrayal and admitted she had freed Quinn because she needed her. Quinn, filled with resentment, declared she wanted the world to suffer, and Discord promised to help her achieve that.
Andromache and the others, who will. Everyone.
Clutching the necklace, Quinn followed her into the shadows. Soon after, a van smashed through the gates of a guarded compound. Gunfire erupted as guards tried to stop it, but the attackers overwhelmed them. Quinn tumbled from the vehicle, feigning death, then sprang up and captured a guard. Her followers arrived, gunning down everyone in their way, before she strode into the building, carrying a suitcase, while her ally finished off the last of the defenders. At the hideout, Niall practiced her sword skills. Booker stepped forward and offered to spar with her, and soon Tua joined as well, turning the training into a three-way contest. In the heat of the exchange, Niall's blade accidentally cut Booker.
Sorry, Book.
He withdrew to deal with the injury, with Tua following close behind. When they looked at the wound, it became clear something was wrong. It wasn't healing. Their suspicion was confirmed. Niall was the last immortal, and she can make others lose their immortality. Booker wants to do what the legend says, and give his immortality to Andy. Tua reminded him that the immortality should be given willingly.
You understand? Andy can't know about this.
Later, as Booker cleaned the wound in the bathroom, Andy asked if he was all right. He dismissed her concern. The team then gathered as James briefed them. He revealed that a nuclear site had been set up illegally between China and Indonesia, and he showed footage of Quinch planting a device inside the reactor core.
Inside here, they've planted a device.
The blast could poison millions. Niall believed it was a trap, something Discord had hinted at, but the others agreed they could not stand by while civilians were in danger. Andy, with no better option, decided they should take action.
She knows we'll try to stop her, and we're playing right into her hands.
We have to go.
Outside, Nikki sat apart, troubled. Joe tried to lighten the mood with humor, but Nikki sensed the fear underneath. Joe admitted he felt their time might be ending. Nikki reassured him, saying that whatever the future held, the love he saw in Joe's eyes was something that would never fade.
When I see your heart, that's truly immortal.
Soon they reached the nuclear site, where Quinch and her soldiers were waiting. James stayed in the car to guide them with a map, warning about secondary explosives.
Any movement?
Still nothing.
Joe?
Inside, they finally come face to face with their opponents. The two sides dropped their guns, choosing to fight with blades. The clash was brutal, but the team cut through their enemies. Nikki and Tua reached the control room, only for a hidden bomb to explode at the doorway, injuring Tua. Reinforcements stormed the room, and while Andy's group fought off waves of attackers elsewhere, Niall fell from the upper floor. In the control room, the enemies unleashed liquid nitrogen, freezing everyone inside before sealing them in containment bags. Outside, Andy searched desperately for Niall, but was caught. Just before she could be finished, Booker arrived and pulled her free. Debris fell, cutting off their escape, and with Discord manipulating the doors, Andy urged Booker to go ahead, knowing the enemies would kill her on sight.
When this door opens, you have to go first.
No, you go first.
Booker stopped her, confessing that he had passed his immortality to her. Shocked, Andy could hardly respond before more soldiers attacked. She fought them with a strength she thought she had lost. When it was over, Booker reminded her that she now had a purpose, then stepped through the door, leaving her to face what came next. From behind the sealed door, Andy watched helplessly as Booker fought a wave of enemies on his own. Blow after blow cut him down, yet he pushed forward, bloodied but relentless, until the last of them fell. The effort cost him everything. He collapsed, coughing blood, and died where he stood. Andy could only sob as she witnessed it. Elsewhere, Niall confronted Quinn directly and demanded the bomb. Quinn deflected, insisting Niall should listen to Discord and give her what she wanted.
Give her what she wants.
She wants us dead.
Niall pressed harder, reminding Quinn of her connection to Andy and asking how she could turn against her. The accusation unsettled Quinn, but instead of answering, she clashed swords with Niall. In the fight, Niall struck her, and to their surprise, the wound did not heal. Horrified, Niall apologized, but before anything could be resolved, Discord appeared and drove a blade into Niall, capturing her. At the same time, Andy searched frantically through the building for her missing team. She stumbled upon the bomb, with Quinn guarding it, clutching the detonator. Andy pleaded with her to remember who she truly was.
Each one of us has to decide for ourselves who we really are.
After a tense silence, Quinn slowly lowered the device to the ground. A helicopter suddenly roared overhead, and when Andy asked where Discord was taking their friends, Quinn admitted she didn't know.
I don't know.
Determined, Andy sprinted outside and hurled herself onto one of the rising helicopters, grappling with the pilot until he flung her off. As another helicopter passed, carrying Discord, Andy launched herself into the air and crashed onto it, dragging Discord down with her. They hit the ground and fought savagely. Andy soon realized something was different. Discord's wounds no longer closed. Discord revealed she had turned mortal, claiming Niall was the key to stripping the others of their powers and transferring them to her.
She can take their immortality and give it to me.
Andy rejected the idea that Niall would ever betray them, but Discord pressed the fight, cutting Andy down and leaving her bleeding before climbing aboard the helicopter. Andy lay on the ground powerless as the helicopters vanished into the distance. Later, she returned to Tua's library, combing through the shelves for answers. Quinn appeared, still carrying the wound Niall had given her, and sank to the floor beside Andy. Exhausted, the two rested together. When they rose again, their focus shifted. They would rescue their captured companions. With a quick exchange of humor over who should go first, Andy dashed forward, and Quinn followed close behind. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.